this squad, or bring a friend, tell them we do have a couple more squads today as well as 3 tomorrow, and then just
we always talk about, oh man, all to be left-handed.
For the Desperado squad tomorrow evening, if it comes down to that, you do have to roll at least 2 main entries.
That's a valid point. I've never looked at it
the Desperado. All right, guys, we're gonna get you started on your 10 minutes of warm-up.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Squad 3 of the Agent Ong Open, the inaugural edition of certainly what it's turning into. And I think without question, obviously we got to get through the whole thing. But from the solid feedback from people who've been talking to, of course, with Carl, creator, and along with his wife, Kathy, and already looking forward to the next and possible more in the future, certainly. We've got to crown an inaugural champion, and, well, we get Squad 3 underway to get us one step closer to doing that. On a wonderful Friday morning here in Chandler, Arizona, specifically, Bowlero, Kyrene. My name is Emil Williams Jr. Excuse me, welcome back into the booth. My man, Chris Schlimmer. Set to join us. There he is.
Sorry. Yeah, just getting dialed in, caught up.
Oh, you good?
Messages.
You had to actually work this morning. You did work.
Yeah, so we had our weekly, our salesman call this morning, and yeah, so got that dialed through, knocked out some emails, and here we am. A buddy of mine is actually in town working the postseason, so he's going to stop by tonight. So that's what we're messaging right now. So, but anyway, yeah, here this morning we do have more than 5 people. Only a couple more than 5, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this all shakes out. With and we'll get into it here because it's a 6-game block, but you got the deal of, like we saw last night with the sweeper, 4 on a pair. And now you've got 1 and 2 on a pair. Mm-hmm. So that changes things quite a bit.
It does, and the reason that is there's a few singles and the rest with 2, and for fairness purposes, so everyone or someone doesn't hit fresh twice.
Correct.
Which was the purpose of that, of course. And,
yeah, spreading everybody out. Yeah, that was one of those things of just to it's it's always I don't know, you can kind of say it's a complaint, but it's one of those things that, plenty of tournament bowlers, it's like when they catch a cross, well, I caught the same cross like 3 times, or say, this is going to, the goal here is to ensure that nobody runs into that same thing. So, like you said, not catching fresh multiple times. So,
yep, that was the goal of that. Yeah, a little bit of a small squad, but doesn't mean that the caliber here is small as well. We saw Josh Williams, who is on the left of your screen here. DJ Knifel only 11 and 12. And Josh out the gates, I believe he bowled yesterday's morning squad. Came out the gates with 230, 240. I'll look that up in a minute. Didn't get a chance to really talk about his game, but I talked to him after the fact. And I said, Josh, to me, and you don't want to say the wrong things when you try to describe something to someone, so I kind of preface it with that. But I think your game is a little bit more old school in comparison to what we're used to seeing in our current state, right? Slow ball speed. He likes to go a little bit right to left, low rev rate. And, on tough stuff, sometimes that's exactly what you need.
Yeah, so it goes back to exactly what you said, kind of old school, excuse me, kind of a simple, and we've talked about it. We talked about it throughout the day yesterday. Keeping it in play, just keeping it in front of you, and keeping the ball in the 1, 2, 3. I mean, obviously, him being right-handed, 1, 3, but also giving himself the opportunity of, if he crosses over, it, well, here we are through 5. My man, the lowest count he's got is 8. He's got 3 9 counts a strike and an 8 count. So, and you look at some of the other, across some of the other scoreboards, we got 7-1, we've got 8-1, we got 6-3, 6-2. Yeah, so it, keep it in play, keeping it simple.
There's DJ. I watched him. I feel like just about throw urethane exclusively during practice.
Okay.
He did throw some reactive later in the 10-minute session.
Well, just taking a look here, he's the only lefty this squad. So every pair he goes to is going to be fresh. You know, we were talking about the catching fresh and stuff like that. But again, we've made mention of this in the past in the fact of lefties. If there's not many in the field, a lot of times they will catch fresh on every pair, you know, just based on sheer number of entries. I mean, it's kind of an X factor, if you will, and unforced error right there. You know, and I think this is going to also, we'll see how this shakes out, because, you know, some of these guys, again, we've got the one on a pair, everybody kind of spread out, but some of these guys are not paying attention to the pace down to the left with the 2 on a pair. So these guys are maybe a couple frames ahead. Man, my guy over here on 13 and 14, Michael Johnston.
Michael Johnston, yep.
Yeah. Nobody else on his pair but him. And, yeah, he's not having a fun go of it. You know, so that comes back to how he broke him down or what he was seeing on that pair. Yeah, so, again, we'll see how this shakes out. Changes balls here. And, again, he changes balls, goes to the face, but he still gets 9. So,
as we like to say, a good 9.
Yeah, a good 9. Yep. Indeed.
Bottom right of your screen there, that's 5 through 8. But we're going to go full screen over there in a minute. Ed Smaglick is bowling.
Smags, yep.
Ed is a very good player from this area. Bowled collegiately at Purdue. He's an engineer. He's also a professor.
I say
college professor.
Call him Professor Smags.
Yeah.
I've gotten to know him just over the years from, you know, dating back actually to the high roller is when I first met him. And now see him, he comes out to the TATs all the time. And like you said, talented bowler. We've seen him cash and like putting the money at sweepers and stuff over the years. So definitely a all right. My guy's still keeping it in play, keeping the spares that are close together. Granted, he's only got 2 strikes, but you know he's clean through 7, 136.
So Ed Smaglick about to step in left of your screen there. He's gone last 4 frames, 3 bagger, 9 spare.
Yeah, I think he's split in the first frame. But no, he's got pretty good. He's thrown a gem, got a pretty good look. Obviously, like you said, he's from this area, so he is. Him and I chatted. You know, he just came back from Costa Rica right here before this started.
Oh yeah, he had a great.
Yeah, he had a great time. He was telling me about all the trophies. He's like, I got like 5 or 6 of these bowls, and he goes, I got like these 2 big leafs, and I go, wow, okay. But no, I was talking about the trip, and then you know we're talking about he'd asked me a little bit about what I'd seen so far, and I kind of explained to him. He's like, yeah, he goes this building, and he's bowled around these parts enough, and he knows some nuances. So, although an unforced error right there, missed the 2-8.
Well, we're already clouding people.
Yeah, well, here I am. I am here at your service for anybody who wants to share a cloud.
Richie this morning.
Yes, anybody wants to share.
Hello.
Hello.
Is it me?
I am him.
For?
Yeah, that's what's up.
Say hello to those of you checking in this morning early. Appreciate you, Tina Mays, Bo and Bowler Dan, Scooby, the Big Easy. One of the best usernames right there. Lefty Powers Activate. I like that, Big Easy.
All right.
Yeah, you're rooting for DJ because he is, again, the sole lefty.
He is the Lone Ranger of this squad. Yep.
El Bolo Loco, also a username that should be nominated for the Hall of Fame. The funny thing about your nickname or your username, El Bolo Loco, is not that it's just cool, but my son loves monster trucks. He's into that now, and
El Toro Loco.
Absolutely.
You know what?
Actually, the first thing I thought of.
Oh,
that's
awesome.
How I know I'm a parent.
So I can share a tidbit. Earlier this year, a buddy of mine got a little son, and he's big in the monster truck thing, and they actually came through Salt Lake City. And so they actually had one of the big events in the fact of they had it at where the University of Utah Utes play football. And so it was the outdoor. It was a big track, and it was all whole thing. And man, I hadn't been to monster trucks since I was a kid, right? Like I'm old school in the fact of there was like Bigfoot, Barefoot, like Gravedigger
Right.
was starting, you know, because I'm that old, and you know, Gravedigger's around. It's his son, but yeah, seeing El Toro
And his
Loco
daughter.
and all the little kids and how crazy it was, just pandemonium. It was totally cool. We spent the whole afternoon, and even it was like even misting rain. Place was nuts. It was great to see all the kids and just how geeked up and excited they get for those trucks bouncing around.
I was shocked, man. I mean, like, you know, my brother-in-law got him into it. He
Yeah.
showed him one video one night,
Yeah,
maybe 4 months ago.
yeah.
And since
Ever
that
since.
day, the next morning, he was like, Dad, can we watch Monster Trucks on YouTube?
Perfect.
And I'm like, sure.
All right.
So
That's cool.
We went to Monster Jam last month.
Okay.
It was in Chicago.
Was it one of the big ones or just like the smaller?
Yeah, All-State Arena
event?
in Chicago is a little
Oh,
smaller
yeah, I've
arena.
actually been there for some events yet.
So, but we do have a plan to visit a bigger arena. Yeah, because all the ones we see on YouTube, there's some outdoor football fields and NFL stadiums.
And I didn't know how it's grown to what it is because, and again, sorry we're off subject here. I was watching at the Agent All Movement. We're talking about Monster Jam, but the deal of like that weekend, there was 5 events going across the country, with 2 of them being those bigger ones,
right?
And then there was 3 of the smaller arena ones, and that's like a weekly thing, like around the world now. Like
And
they even had,
right,
yeah, they were
internationally.
like, oh, next weekend we got trucks in Australia, and I'm like, wow, this thing is. I remember there was like one circuit and like 6 trucks, and yeah, now it's a whole big thing.
See Josh finishing up.
Yeah, solid. I mean, you can't be mad about that. I mean, he had his pair to himself, and yeah, clean 194. I'll take that and run.
For those of you who maybe join us for the first time, but it looks like most of you haven't. You were here yesterday. You know, tournamentbowl.com is your place for all things Agent On Open standings related. But once our Game 1 standings are updated, we will update you. And I'll drop that this squad's tournament link specifically into the chat, so you'll have it. I do want to check. Pretty sure. Where are we at? Thursday. So Josh Bold. You'll see DJ here. He can strike on the field for 183. And then we'll get you back through 5 through 8 full. Restrail over on 7 and 8. Had a split in the 9th, so he's got a double to try to save 170. Good shot there by Ed Godbout. A good chance. Good conversation with Ed this morning. He is moving right.
Okay.
Is Ed still left lane moves left, right lane moves right today?
Yep. Perfect. And so just a little tidbit here over on DJ. You know, he came back here and got in his bags, but he actually grabbed a different thumb.
Okay.
So he's got, and that obviously came off his hand a little bit different, cleaner. So maybe it was just a thumb thing. But yeah, it looks like he's got a couple urethane balls. And now when he goes to his next pair, let's see what he's got. He does look to have another ball or 2 with surface in his bag, but you know, reactive balls. But here now, you know, he's got the 2 urethane balls, and we'll see what his, when he goes to his next pair, what his thinking or logic is going to be.
All right, Chris finishes with 173.
Okay.
See, that's Ed Godbout with the 8 pin. He got the 2 to fall.
Okay.
Hook a little.
Oop, oop, unforced error.
Good man there. Truck driver. 26 years. He's a good friend of Carl's. And Carl and Tony Reyes.
Yep.
And definitely wanted to be here to support
T-Ray.
Carl. Does a lot of great work and has and still does the youth program at 4th Street Bowl in San Jose. Appreciate all that you do for the sport, Ed. We got 2 Eds bowling on that pair. How about that?
Yeah. I think that was by design. They did that on purpose. Put Ed and Ed on the same pair to start. Ed and Ed. on the same pair. On 5 and 6. Only 2 Eds in the squad, and they're on the same pair to start.
Maybe.
Captain Carl over here. He's like, yeah, maybe.
Well, down on lane 3, Troy Blickenstaff having a nice start.
Yeah, what is that? Well, yeah, he's got 199 up in the 8th, spare up on the 9th.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Getting the 230s, with a fill.
Yeah.
A 20 pin, or I should say, with a spare in the 10th. But he can't get into the course in the 240s with a double. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, that was a spare for Mr. Smaglick, so he can get to 202.
Yep. And again, we talk about bowlers that keep it in play and can do Smags is one of those guys. Like, he always figures out to make sure his ball is around the 1-3. You know what I'm saying? Like, every once in a while, like, you rarely hear him say, oh man, I bowled like 160, 160. It's like, yeah, he's like, I had a tough game, shot 190. Like, he's a grind guy. He's old school. Looks to be a pretty good pitch. And that's like we talked about yesterday, that's kind of the right shape. You see the way he's kind of pushing it off his hand, getting it to tumble forward, and not the adding to the change direction or the overshoot with a little too much side tilt and rotation. He's using a big, like I said, a big ball, low RG, high differential, strong cover stock. So really early, really rolly. And yeah, he's kind of forcing it forward to kind of just control the pattern, if you will.
You got Brianna Coates in the building. Jeremy Thomas checking into the Bowlstream TV chat this morning. Good shot there from Smaglick. Matt Jones, last night's sweeper winner. And just want to gloat real quick. As you see, Troy Blickenstaff, left corner there.
It's a pretty good pitch right there.
Another good shot. Looked purplish from here. Can't really tell.
That's what it looked like to me as well. I can confirm.
So one more there. He's going to be in the 240s.
Yep.
Matt, and you don't know this, Matt, so, Brooklyn Rob was here. Rob and Peru shot one half of the Sweep the Rack podcast, which was partnering on last night's sweeper with the Agent on Open and Carl. So Rob was in here along with myself and Chris, and Rob said, "Hey, what do you think? What do you think the winning sweeper score is going to be?" Rob was in about 720.
720 something. I can't remember what he said.
You were in about 680-ish, 685.
I went 685.
Yeah. And I said 702.
Yep. And it was, and I can tell you the roller coaster of emotions that was in between the three of us. It was pretty funny because, out of the gate, Emil, you and
I was first too. 702.
Yeah, you're like 702. Rob's like, he's like, Schlim, what do you think? And I go, man, 685. And then he's like, I'm going 720. Like, are you watching these scores? And then it was the fourth frame of the second game, and you two look at each other and are like, ooh, we're going to be way high. But obviously Matt, and that's the one thing you want to bring up too is he shot 701, and the next high was 70 pins behind him or something. So I was even high for second place. 71. Exactly. Yeah. So that's 630.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, and that's what I try to, And Rob was like, he goes, maybe I just don't pay attention enough, and and then he was giving us a hard time because we've seen so much bowling compared to him. He's like, well, you guys see this stuff. I'm like, oh, come on, man. You've bowled, you know how it goes. But so now we're gonna watch the moves here. We'll see how the change in pairs. And again, so DJ moves here in front of us. And the lone lefty of the squad. So, and he's got the urethane balls. And that one didn't quite get back to the pocket.
You want to know the real reason I picked 702?
Yeah, I do.
It's a fantastic R&B group. Where my girls at? In the front to back. You feeling that?
Yeah.
That's 702.
No.
Absolutely.
That's the name of the group?
Yes. Let's see what Ed Smaglick will give us here first and foremost. All right, so let me throw up the pattern details for those who have not seen that. It's going to take up the screen, so we'll wait for Smaglick to maybe catch that messenger, but no.
Rolls around the 9.
And then we'll see Jeff Krause here in a moment. Jeff was a part of the catering crew with Brightside Catering on Wednesday evening at the Ong residence.
And you know what's crazy? So here's a funny story. Uh-oh, we got some confusion. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's like, how do we end up with a pair with nobody on it? So Jeff and I go way back, and I haven't seen Jeff in, we were talking about it when I walked in the other night, and he's like, Schlem, and I go, do I know you? He goes, yeah, Jeff Krause, and I'm like, okay, the name's ringing a bell. So way back in the late 90s is when him and I crossed paths back in Illinois.
Really?
When I was working at a pro shop, and he would come through. He was actually doing some stuff with like Michelle Mullen and Alita at the time.
Okay.
And obviously I had met them from working on the ladies tour.
Right.
And yeah, that was kind of like my first interaction. He's like, dude, and I go, no way, I haven't seen you in forever. And we, kind of had that little catch-up deal. And obviously he didn't have all the tattoos that he has now. I said, dude, you didn't have all the ink? He goes, oh, no. He goes, this has been a later in life thing. I go, oh, obviously. But, yeah, it's always, again, it comes back to bowling being a small world. And, yeah, he's crossed paths with people. Well, like I said, I haven't seen him in probably 24, 25 years.
How about that?
I know, right? Small,
Wow.
Super small world.
He's a great dude. He complimented us, too, this morning. I met him formally.
Okay.
Didn't realize he was certainly there on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And he said, great show last night. I think he told Carl, is that the voice? Whose voice was that I was hearing? I think Carl said that was the voice. And he pointed to me and shook his hand.
Yep.
And I said, I might sound a little bit different. And then we started talking about
like butter.
We started talking about allergy seasons and colds and all that stuff that's going around.
Well, and the whole thing of, you were talking about it, and obviously I can feel the little bit of the sinus stuff even for myself, just being here because it's 100 degrees. Well, air conditioning, you walk in, from this building, and then you walk outside, and you warm up, and then you walk into the next building, and it's cold. Same thing, I get back to my hotel room. Of course, I got to sit on penguin, level, as we were talking about Batman last night. Yeah, and even
frigid.
Yeah, frigid. And it's like, man, it's still. When we left last night at 12:30 or whatever it was this morning, after the challenge, the straight cast match. Yeah, it's so that doesn't help with sinuses and all that jazz. Yeah, DJ, again, kind of fishing around here in front of us, the only left-hander in the squad. So it's going to be a matter of how quick he can adapt pair to pair.
All right, let's see. Let's check standings.
Channel surfing. Okay. Seeing my man, and it just came off of, what do you have that on there? On 1 and 2? 230.
239. I'm going to check that right now.
He starts this game with 6 out, strike, gutter ball. So obviously
245. Excuse me.
240. So this pair, again, starting with 2 on a pair, how you break them down for your 10 minutes of practice. Now he's going down to a pair where there was only one person playing. So the transition, the look. Oh, almost got there again. Oh, slowed it down a little bit, snuck it back in. Gutter spare.
Yeah, so Troy shoots 245.
Yep.
The scores are now posted, folks. So click the link in the Bullstream TV chat. Take a look at those. DJ taking a little moment here before he gathers himself and steps up on 9 and 10. Michael Johnson.
Well, like I said, I think it's one of those deals of, we've got 3 pair with 2. It's a thing of just kind of trying to keep pace with them because you don't want to get too far ahead and then have to go kind of sit and wait.
Whoa.
It's not something you see every day.
Look out. I want to see DJ's shot here before we take you a little closer to 5 through 8. All right. All right. All right. So the players who are competing here this morning, Josh Williams bowled squad yesterday. Maybe 2. Let me double check. And he bowled 1 squad. He bowled squad 1. He shot 1198 for his 6 games, so very solid score. Ed Godbout also bowled on Thursday, and Ed finished. Ed shot 11-11. Make a wish. In squad 2, I think Troy bowled yesterday too. Maybe he bowled a sweep. Yeah, Troy bowled the morning squad also, and he shot 1150.
Okay.
So obviously already well ahead of pace for Troy. But 13 and 14 might be a little bit tricky for him. How we doing out there, folks, in this Friday morning? It's afternoon for some of you. You got any plans for your Friday? Are you at work? Let us know where you're watching from. I know we've got a lot of local viewers from not only the Metro Phoenix area, but certainly the state of Arizona. Good shot there from Adam. I don't know much about Adam, but I like his game. Pretty simple.
Jeff.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff.
Oh, okay. I was like, did I?
Yeah, I was
What's up?
Jeff Krause.
Nope. DJ with the spare here in front of us. Yeah, no, Jeff, I mean, it was like I said, back in the day, he was working with Michelle and Alita and doing some stuff. And, yeah, really worked hard on his game. Like, he was dead set on being a bowler and this and that. And like I said, we catching up the other night. And I said, how bowling? He goes, dude, life happens. Like, you know, I said, how'd you know about here? He goes, kind of like a layover. I was doing this and, you know, knew a buddy and got into the food thing. And I said, is that what you own? He goes, no, it just kind of happened. And he goes, man, I love it. I'm like, that's cool. As long as you're happy and you enjoy what you do, that's the big thing, you know? So, but yeah, anyway, so I can remember way back when he was got to be a decent player, was bowling some regionals and stuff. Yeah. And, yeah, like you said, he's got back to do it the last couple of years. It's like, dude, I took time off and now I'm back into it. And that's cool. And so, looking staff over here. He's going to get the spare. All right. So my man started with 240 over here on 13-14, and now he's got 104 in the 6th. So obviously, again, transitions and pairs. That is a.
2457.
I was going to say that. How did he leave that? I didn't. I guess I wasn't paying attention, and I'm like, wait, what? Where did that come from?
Would have been a leave of the day.
Absolutely. Candidate. Dude, that's hands down the winner. I mean, we did see some crazy stuff yesterday. Carl goes, yeah, he should probably shoot at that. Oh, now he's giving him odds. Come on now. Oh, there it is. Front bucket with a handle.
So yesterday you referenced front bucket with a handle.
What's that?
You referenced front bucket with a handle yesterday.
Yeah.
We were talking about GT2, I believe, at the time.
And so I found out later on. So I was mistaken, and let me clarify that, because somebody was crossing next to him, and I guess it was one of those deals where he'd already switched to the reactive ball, and he actually moved left and tried to hook it, And so that's actually was going to look like three off the right, but turned into the front bucket with the handle. And then that's when I saw him, he was working on the thumb hole. I thought he was switching to the reactive ball, but he'd already switched and was shaking his head. So, yeah, that was the front bucket with a handle for GT last night was the results of trying the reactive ball, and it didn't fare so well.
Well, even like so, but hearing you say that, and I caught it from an angle because he was like 15, 16-ish.
Yeah.
But seeing it head on for a bucket with the handle,
10.
I'm like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah,
because I couldn't see that leave in my head until I just saw it right there.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, we've been around, and I tell you what, I've seen some crazy leaves over the course of time around the world. Yeah, you come up with, all sorts of different, like I said, okay. Oh, no, there was a 7 with that, too. That was a 3, 4, 7, 10.
Yeah, that was a tough frame for Troy down on 13 and 14.
Yeah.
He can only get to 167 now.
And that's if he hasn't thrown a double yet this game, so.
Hook.
Oh, no spare for Spags. Wow. Here I was just bragging about him, how good and solid he is, and now my man doesn't have a mark through 5.
He said this is possibly the only squad he may be able to bowl, too.
Oh. And so I guess that's a cloud of Schlemm still hanging heavy. And so Troy over here, like you talked about, needed to double to get to 160. He actually used splits. So he's looking at, so everything he got the first game, he just gifted all the way back. And then some. So yeah, he's going to finish up with 146 for Troy. So 240, 140. So yeah, again, transition, like we've talked about with how the pattern's going to break down, how it's going to move around, and this is about the time that we even saw it, yesterday with 3 on a pair, and then last night the afternoon squad with 3 and mostly 4 on a pair. In some cases, the transition is still about this time. It's about 16 to 18 frames in after the 10 minutes of practice, and Smags actually goes to the urethane ball, shoves it up the lane, and puts 10 back. So. Maybe he's just seeing something that he needs to, on this particular pair, try and take the pattern a little bit out of play. And DJ catching a strike. Yeah, so he's got a decent game going here.
Good shot there. Quick full screen look at him. He is in frame 8.
Frame 8.
Yep. Gets 225.
Yep. And so, it's a prime example of, looks like he's got some friends and folks back here, and so he's come back and walk and talking, because the twosome next to him, they're only in the 6th frame, and he's already up through the 8th. Now the other 2 pairs right of him, both those guys are done. So now they're gonna have to take a little time. It's
yeah. We were talking about DJ
pace.
In frame 3. He was kind of taking his time for the 4th frame shot, and you called out what he was doing, which more than likely was about pace and again understanding what's the surrounding situation.
Yep. And I think, I don't know him, but obviously he's bold enough. He's bowled plenty of things. He's got that history and knowledge of, hey, and same thing plenty of tour players would do, especially like when they're bowling matches and stuff like that. And there'd be times where, or even if a pair is going to get done early, they would make sure the next pair they're going to, they'd actually save a shot or 2 in the 10th frame, like wouldn't finish out. So they may sit 5 or 10 minutes before they finish their 10th frame, because they're like, okay, at least give myself a couple shots before I step into this next game. So yeah, there's strategy. I don't know. I guess you would call it strategy as much as experience, I think. But
Chris.
Oh, hey now, catches the double. Ain't mad about it.
We'll take that.
Don't be mad.
Smags really double with urethane.
Tickle.
Again, last night, folks, we had, as many of you talking about in the chat, Robert Smith and Greg Thompson Jr. Really nice show. 5-game, $1,000 a game. GT2 got out in front early, won the first 3 games. The first 2 games were really close. In fact, game 2 came down. It was a 2-pin match with 2 frames left. And GT2 had to strike out, or he did strike out, I should say, to shut out Robert Smith in game 2. And then game 3, Robert almost lost his look completely. He didn't really have a look to begin with those first couple of games, but he was keeping himself in it, making spares, and keeping it close for the most part. And then game 3 was really tough. He spent the remainder of those frames, still searching. He got into a purple hammer. Speaking of Robert Smith, had a great look at the end of that, and he shot 138, but the last 3 shots were boom, boom, boom. He started game 4, boom, 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 and was able to grab the last 2 games. So overall, great match. Great to see Robert Smith in that environment. Great to see GT2 in that environment. And it was solid. It really was. All right, DJ. Strike away from being in the 2-0s. It'll be 180-2-0 for DJ, if he can get there.
I think the one thing to bring focus to is my guy Josh here is clean. And again, I'm probably going to cloud him.
I was hoping that you didn't bring focus to it.
But what I'm saying, he was clean the first game.
Yes, he was.
And now clean through potential 7. I mean, that's pretty solid. And like you said, he bowled yesterday, so I think he had a little bit of knowledge of, hey, it's going to kind of grind. Tough break there. With the split, pretty good pitch.
Come on, DJ.
Yeah.
That was Josh specifically, but I want DJ to make that 4, or I'm sorry, that 6-7 or 6-8.
Yeah.
Lefties.
The lefty 4-9.
Lefties always get me.
It's a lefty 4-9. You could just say that, lefty 4-9. People know what you're talking about. Oh, my man.
That?
Look at that. Clean.
Right corner of your screen.
Split conversion.
Well done. Well done. That's tough. He's trying to just get his ball to just tip, just tip a little bit, and it's like a half tip. Just not quite. It's like that. Come on, turn the crank it, crank it, crank it. What a spare shooter, though.
I'm telling you, my guys, he keeps it in play. Again, nothing like I think you mentioned traditional, nothing fancy, nothing crazy, but keeps it simple, keeps it in play.
First thing that stood out to me when we watched the Bowl Squad one yesterday. Nice finish here for Chris on 5 and 6, so he can strike to get to 212. Smaglick trying to save it here. That one is right. It's going to stay out there.
All right, I'll be back in a sec.
CP in the building. Chris Pulliam checking in. El Bolo Loco. I don't think Brooklyn Rob will be in the building. I don't think he's scheduled to compete, or at least we were talking about it last night. He was getting the itch to bowl again. Squads will be, of course, 9 a.m. already underway here this morning. wonderful Friday, October 20th, 2023. 2 p.m. this afternoon and then 7 p.m. tonight. We will begin 1 hour earlier tomorrow. On Saturday, 8 a.m., 1 p.m., and 6 p.m. And then we'll have the Desperado immediately following that final squad tomorrow night. So 8 full 6-game squads. Good shot there from Jeff. Get to 191. Bo, absolutely. If Robert will be here. I know both Robert Smith and GT2 will be bowling. I think GT2, he kind of gave me his schedule for today. He is going to work today. Speaking of GT2, and his goal or plan is to bowl at least one squad tomorrow. Reggie in the building. Good morning, Reggie. Thank you for tuning in either this early morning or perhaps late morning or afternoon, where you may be watching from. Jeff's going to take that. All right, strike away from 191, and then we'll all move into game 3. 147 for Smaglick. And Josh Williams got a chance, if he can double. Josh Williams reminds me of a lot of myself, not necessarily from the physical game perspective, but this is basically like my college bowling life right here. What Josh Williams is doing, like you're in the pocket, you try to get that carry together, you try to catch a double to get to 2-0. Like this literally was me bowling college, watching Josh Williams compete on this 42-foot lane condition.
Oh, so you're having flashbacks?
I am.
All right.
I am. I was a very good spare shooter when I was, kind of tip-top shape, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And you just, obviously keep at it. Like, man, I just need one more rep. Like, I just need 1.5 more reps.
Right.
The occasional bucket that you would leave in that situation, and you try to catch a double late to get to 2-0.
There you go. Oh, does he? Oh,
it's okay. Traditional bowling. It's a clean game.
Yeah, no, and that's the whole thing. He gets to, he gets to 190. Same thing, Jeff over there caught a turkey there in the 10th. She shoots 191 on the same pair there with Chris. So, again, a couple good decent games.
Regina Abood, watching. Regina, you be confusing me, because now you're on YouTube talking about Reggie. How am I supposed to know that's you? You know what I'm saying? Then if we're on Bowl TV. Then you're on George's account. What's going on here? Come on. I'm just playing.
All good. Ed moves over here to 13 and 14. And I think it's, what we're seeing here is these guys are making the crosses, and again, the lane's going to transition totally different right now with such few shots going down the lane as opposed to what we're going to see when we have an average of 2 to 3 players per pair, or even 4 in a pair. So
It's in a weird way, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
And my reasoning for that is as a player,
okay,
right? I feel like the focus to a degree is the same. You're bowling the pair of the lanes. Obviously, you're bowling the pattern. But for me, I feel like it would be more of an increased focus, if you will, right? Like you're not looking around and saying, okay, I've got this amount of rev rate because there's 4 in my pair,
right?
Or any of that. Just as an example. And you go, all right, I got to be complete tunnel vision. Right?
Correct.
What's in front of me is what's going to help me. And so if I was bowling the squad, I think that's how I would approach it.
Okay. Yeah, and and again, in a format like this, I think the big thing to circle back to is it's a beat the board. So it's not necessarily of, hey, I'm trying to beat the guys or the competitors on the squad.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to get to the finals. So you almost have to have a different mentality anyway. In the fact of you're trying to get every pin that you can without giving away too many, and I think not all bowlers have that mentality. A ball change here for Troy.
That's pretty good early.
Yeah, went to an idle, it looks like. Because he was trying to play out with urethane before, and obviously now he jumped in a little bit, went to an idle, and now he's got spared double. So that's a big improvement over the last game. So, but anyway, back to that, the mentality or thought process of, and I think that, again, that's what separates the different levels competitors and bowlers, of being able to understand, the format that you're in and what's, what the actual end goal is, I guess, if you will. Uh-oh. Just a bit outside. So all I had to do is give him props, and man, airmails one.
You get Michael Johnson, Ed Smaglick, Jeff Krause, got Troy Blickenstaff here. Those are the three from 9 through 12. Jeff is over on 7 and 8 with DJ Knifel. Josh Williams moved over to 5 and 6. Chris Strail over to 3 and 4. Good point to reiterate, and I did see that question earlier. I meant to get back to it. It is a beat the board, and there is not a select number or specific number of players who will advance per squad. So after essentially squad 8 Saturday evening, there will be a projected cut score announced, and you imagine there's going to be a lot of people in the building. And those who certainly will be like, yep, I'm good. Those who will maybe be in that, I'm not quite sure, maybe. And then those who will no doubt bowl Desperado.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if they know that we just got to wait and see how, like you said, shake out with the number of it. And obviously, we know it's a light squad now, but I know at 2 o'clock, and when I walked in earlier, there were some people signing up for 2, moving from 7 to 2. Other people like, hey, I'm going to bowl at 7. So there's going to be a lot more folks coming in, and like we've talked about yesterday throughout the day, people that are going to maybe work a half a day, and they're going to either make it to town or now available to bowl, starting this evening. Or this afternoon. So, I mean, again, that number, we can speculate all we want, but we really don't know until we, and obviously I think the surprise last night, well, like Carl said, was the number of entries under the sweeper. They only had 20-something signed up. Well, they ended up with almost 60 walk-ins.
Yep.
So that changes things a little bit, so.
KJ, that's a good question. First, I don't remember what we talked about regarding cut numbers yesterday morning, and but I know we had the conversation from squad 1 to squad 2 just because of how different things were. I talked about what stood out to me in squad 1, which was the early friction I didn't anticipate. But we also discussed, obviously, as the tournament goes on, the squads continue. This pattern is going to probably play flatter, get flatter, and play truer, as they typically do across a weekend or multi-squad event, no matter what tournament it is. So we know that plus 60 was kind of like a frame of thought.
That was Carl's
as a cut line.
Yeah, his
in designing the pattern.
Correct, and that was his like he said, it was one of those deals he wanted to host and create this tournament. Like we've mentioned, didn't want it to be a shootout, didn't want it to be, absolutely miserable where it takes minus to make the cut. Just kind of keep that even pace of, you think about, let's put it this way, 6-game block, thinking like a 210 average, to get there. But again, as we're seeing with transitions and how this building plays, and now the pattern, is being reapplied multiple times. Like I told him, it may not even get that high to make the cut. I mean, obviously, you're going to have somebody that's going to come in. There's always going to be, like we say, there's always going to be a leader. Somebody's always going to figure. Well, example last night in the sweeper with Matt Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a deal of my man got to 700, and then he was 70 pins ahead of second. And like he said when he got done, he caught good pairs. Caught good pairs and caught a good cross. So it was a culmination of things. But yeah, I mean, so we'll see whoever is going to be the lead, going into, and like Carl, like you guys have talked about, Carl talked about with the format, because the top 8, once you make the cut and then you get that top 8, get a bye. I guess really the focus now is just getting to the cut, because then it's a 4-game or 5-game shootout. I think he said for the finals on Sunday.
4 games.
4-game shootout.
Yep.
Because all the pins are dropped. And it's, ultimately almost like restarting the tournament. Mm-hmm. So, again, that's another option that gives people the opportunity. So, yeah, it's like I said, we don't really have a speculation or a guesstimation, if you will.
However, during this chat, I do recall myself saying that I thought it would be a little north of plus 60.
Really?
I am going to stand by that, yes.
Okay. To make the cut.
Yep.
The top 24, you think?
Not much. I don't think it's going to be triple digits by any stretch.
Okay.
70-ish.
Okay.
I just think there's a lot of good bowlers still to bowl.
Oh, yeah. Well, and like we talked about, the names we've, rattled off that are still to come, from, Brianna Cote, Anthony Simonson. We've got plenty of other tour-level players, regional players, other folks that are going to, elite level, I guess, amateurs, if you will. And again, but we're still, we don't even know all of them, because we know how, like we've mentioned before, bowlers just walking in like, oh, hey, can I bowl? I'm here.
I mean, so let's look who bowled. I mean, we could actually look at the 2 o'clock squad today, and kind of similar to like the 2 o'clock squad yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Give us an indication, because there were a few more names bowling in that one.
Yep.
And but those who bowled the sweeper last night, more than half of those people, this is a guesstimation, are going to probably bowl a squad. They maybe had already bowled a squad. Front 7, by the way, for Ed Smaglick, who a frame ago said, "Hey, I already beat my game." And
my reaction right there was for Chris over there on 3 and 4.
Yeah, he's quietly
knocking them down over there. He's got 159 in the 5th, strike up in the 6th. Yep, 59 in the 5th, strike up in the 6th. So my man's putting together a solid game down there. Down here in front of us, Troy. Again, he's not pacing very well. He's finishing his game, and he's now going to have to wait.
He's got to get some help.
And, he's putting 190 on the board, which is an improvement from the previous game. But and Ed over here, just a bit outside. All right. Looks like Chris is okay with that shot. Went through the face, left only the 4-7. So, again, he's putting together some wood over there. DJ, pretty decent pitch. It's a little light.
My man Bo Brunick. There's 2 bowls now in the chat. Bo Brunick checking in. What's up, Bo? Bo says he hadn't seen Ed bowl in years. Bo,
which Ed?
Come on out to Arizona.
Which Ed?
Smaglick.
Oh, I was saying, because we got Ed over here,
right.
too. Remember, we had Ed
Med.
And this is what I asked Carl, and he goes, what are you talking about? And I go, there's 2 Eds on the squad, and they're both on the same pair. He goes, oh, yeah, we did that on purpose, maybe. I don't know.
Good to see Michael Johnston. Nice little bounce back here.
Yeah.
He was struggling
definitely,
early.
Oof. It was a rough start for my man. And again, like we talked about, I was curious as to what he did, because he had the 13 and 14 by himself to start. And he didn't bowl much that first game. I don't know. And again, understanding how to build yourself something, how to make a pair transition. Not everybody understands that. It's what do you want the pair to do? What do you want your ball to do? We talked about last night. It's one of those things. In the cash match of Robert was playing strategy, burning a spot to the right. Now, when you have a pair to yourself like this in competition, knowing you get 6 games, is it okay? I'm going to use a bunch of surface to create a hook spot that I can just cheat a little left off of and know I have misroom right, or build a shim or do something like that. And not everyone has that experience in this type of competition to do something like that. Or maybe didn't even think about it. Like, oh, hey, I'm just practicing. Got to try and figure out the pair. Well, you can actually build something, even though I know the guys at Kegel and people who build lane patterns for a living hate to hear that. I mean, I'm going to carve it. I'm going to build it. And they're like, no, I put a pattern out there for a reason. Yeah, unfortunately, that's part of the game. But there's also the other part of the game where, oh, you want your ball to hook there? Yeah, let's use some lane screen or, 360 grit, 180 grit. We'll blow apart a spot.
Quick shout out to our guy, Josh Williams, on the bottom right of your screen.
Yeah.
He's 30 clean now, folks. 30 clean.
Yes.
He just doubled through the first one in the 10th, had the one in the 9th. He can get to the 220s. Meanwhile, Smaglick
tickles it. All right.
Off a, what did he shoot, 140 game? Just a game ago. Double check. By the way, again, don't forget scores are available. Click scores up top. Click that link. Ed shot 147.
Yeah, I was bragging about him. Like, oh, yeah, this keeps it in play. Shoots like 180, 190. Yeah, no, and then he shoots 140. Yeah, that's the power of Schlem right there.
And the power of a 245 game, too, for Troy Blickenstaff, because he was still leading this squad despite shooting 146 in game 2.
Mm-hmm.
He follows that with 190. Smaglick's going to be in the 250s. Josh Williams.
That's a pretty good pitch right there.
And Josh,
220.
Yeah, he's second.
And unfortunately, our boy Chris down there on 3 and 4 split in the 10th. So that game, he had a lot more wood out there, had potential for a bigger game, and bad shot at the bad time.
Bo Burdick, you got to come on out to the Phoenix.
Smags with 255.
Nice game. Got to come out there and bowl so you can see Ed Smaglick more.
That offsets the 140.
That helps. See if Michael Johnson can finish this thing up. He's got a hook. Bang.
Pretty good right there.
I was talking to mentioned Ed Godbout earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me that he used to actually coach Michael. He was one of his youth players at youth program at 4th Street Bowl back in the day.
As in Michael right here in front of us?
Yeah.
No way. Isn't it funny how the small world of
brought him out to bowl tournament this year.
Hey, way back when. This would be a pretty good shot right there too.
Oh yeah, that was perfect.
And here's a prime example, I think, of what I touched upon earlier of maybe not understanding pace. Because Michael, the previous 2 games, my man struggled really hard.
Right.
Now he's actually with somebody to help slow his pace down.
A little better rhythm.
It's turning into 240, a little bit of rhythm, a little bit of just more of it. And that's the whole thing when people bowl at themselves, it tends to turn into rapid fire. It turns into, oh, I got to throw a shot. Oh, I got to throw a shot. No, you need to stop and just pretend like you're in the same, whether it's a one-on-one match or like if you're, if you can take the timing of like if you're bowling league, space out your shots, create that timing and that smoothness. Yeah, 240. That's a huge improvement. And Ed, like you said, Ed just came over, gave him a high five, and slapping it out for him. That was pretty cool.
Dope.
That's a proud coach right there.
9 and 10 produced 255 and 244 in game 3.
And so we'll go back to the start and Josh started here. Again, solo by himself, but kept the ball in that little tube in that slot to help the lane transition a little bit. So, again, hasn't been nothing too crazy because then DJ came to it. So, again, nobody touched the right side. You know what I'm saying? So you got to always account for the variables and factors that lead into why a lane does what it does.
Brian Reed checking in. Oh, this is a we've got a sorry Slim, but we've got a mini Lindenwood reunion in the Bullstream TV chat here.
You guys having a Lindenwood party up in there? That's cool.
There's an LU party virtually, which used to be a thing just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Virtual parties.
It's hard to believe that that's what we got to, you know, and I don't know about you, but yeah, that was a unique time in society. Yeah, I had friends across the country. We'd have our weekly or bi-weekly, you know, kind of drinking parties online.
Yeah.
And you're like, open your Zoom and you have a cocktail and ask how everybody's doing. And yeah, it was a weird time. I'm glad we're back to, you know, doing what we do, getting to travel and interact with people we haven't come across in years, or meeting new people, making new friends. That's the enjoyment of what we get to do in the bowling industry. See if DJ can capitalize here. We're working on a double.
We've got another birthday today, DJ, according to our chat.
Today's DJ's birthday. Yeah, Schlem, way to go. I am on fire. My guy working on a double. Yep, Stone 8. Way to go, Schlem. Black clouds are us. Folks, if you're needing somebody to just throw that little jinx or a little hex on you, feel free to dial me up and I will gladly rain on your parade. I seem to have that knack.
In your nickname, like it's like that perfect 1-800-ROTO Slim, like that should be your phone number.
Are you tired of rainbows and sunshine? Do you want a little lightning and a little thunder and some dark rain in your life? 1-800-ROTO Schlem at your service.
Hello, Steph Sell. Steph checking in this morning. Got a lesson down at B3 Performance with one Brandy Calderon yesterday.
Awesome.
We are. If you are just checking in, folks, the squad's a little light this morning, and so the pace is a little bit off. There's a couple of there's a game, or every game I should say. There's two people, or one on each pair, I should say, or two pairs with one player, and then everywhere else with two. And so everyone's trying to pace it properly. But, you know, Ed and Michael just went, Smaglick specifically, went 255, 244. The most strikes we've seen collectively in a game so far
to date. Yeah, through the three squads. So they actually finished faster than normal because they actually struck that game. But, yeah, the other guys with the one on a pair, and, yeah, it's a little bit slower over here on 7 and 8 with DJ and Jeff. You know, they're kind of, not that they're purposely dragging it out, but I think both are more methodical and slower players. So it just happened to be that they coincide on the same pair this game. So we got a couple shots here.
We're getting a good item for you from Kevin Jenkins. KJ, I got a question for you. KJ did say, Slim, I'm bowling tomorrow. Yeah. So he's going to come by and say hello to you.
Right on.
And then I'm here. He expects you to forget about him immediately.
Yes,
that
is a common thing. My man Marlon last, he's like, Schlem, pleasure to meet you, man. You're awesome. I follow your career. Can you just not say my name or look at me when I'm on live stream? Okay, I got you. Yeah. So anybody else wants to, you know, feel free to drop by. I'll put a tip jar out here in front.
Pretty soon, people will be requesting not to bowl.
Yeah, they're
9
like
through 12 or 5 through 8.
I'm only going to bowl if Schlem's not on the live stream. So can we tag somebody else in? Can we get the janitor or somebody to just talk a little bowling and not throw the cloud?
KJ, I do have a question for you. And so you're watching DJ. He's the lone lefty in this squad. The likelihood of you bowling tomorrow, you probably won't be the only lefty. But if you were, I'm sure that also wouldn't be your first time experiencing that. So from your side of things, KJ, from what you've seen these last couple of days, or I should say first couple of days and first couple of squads, you don't need to give me your game plan, but I'm just curious.
No, there's going to be plenty more lefties.
I'm curious what your
coming into play.
What your early thoughts might be just from the left side of things.
Yeah. You know, we know Andrew Kane's coming back. Brett Wolf's going to bowl. Well, prime example of Andrew's pair yesterday in his squad, the afternoon squad. There were 3 lefties on that pair. So
yeah, the opposite.
Yeah, the opposite. Where But yeah, though, there should be plenty of lefties coming through. And like I said, it just happens to be that this is one of those deals that kind of happens, like I said, when you have a limited number of people in a squad. There happens to be a lefty. Oh.
All right, Ed Smaglick's going to begin over on 11 and 12.
And roll it. Oh, short pin. So DJ with a pretty good shot. No, see? I just had to not say it before. Like, I wait for it to get off his hand. I'm like, ooh, pretty good shot. And he struck. And now Josh is down by himself. I think is he down by himself down there off of
I think so.
3 and 4?
Yep, I think so.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, because DJ is going to go to 5 and 6, and then Jeff's going to go to 9 and 10. So yeah.
Okay.
Game 4. Trail starts with a solid 9. Down on 13 to 14. You want to see that. Again, beat the board, folks. Beat the board. So this is not a, a couple players will advance to the cashers round from this squad. This is post your number, and you'll have an idea, or the idea, if you will, about Saturday afternoon on where you stand. Yeah, from talking to a lot of players, it seems like most of the players, or I should say a good portion, we're bowling 2 squads minimum almost no matter what. Just depending on what day. Some were bowled yesterday, back to back today. Some will probably bowl today and certainly bowl tomorrow. Some might bowl 2 tomorrow. Hell, some might bowl 3 tomorrow.
Yeah, no. Well, and again, it just depends on the schedule, stuff like that. I know Simo's is coming in. I think whatever the afternoon squad is tomorrow, 1 maybe or 2.
1 o'clock.
Yeah, it's the squad Simo's bowling. So, but Carl was like, "Really? He's just going to come in and bowl?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." And said if he has to, he'll probably bowl a Desperado, but he's thinking that he should be able to figure him out and grind his way through and make it.
KJ shared a little bit of what he's thinking based on what he's seen so far.
Yeah.
In the chat, and he says, "I think Thane is not a viable option. I'm planning on some smoother ASIM solids, bigger pearls with some surface as well." And then he said, "Looks like you need the ball rolling out of the pattern, not hooking."
Correct, and that's if you've watched before or heard us talking throughout the day yesterday into today. Way the ball comes off the back of the pattern, you want it to, tumble, if you will. You want it end over end. And those that have matched up and bowled decent, getting the ball to do the right thing down lane is the key. And again, it's navigating pair to pair in this building. Because as I learned, Andrew Kane kind of filled us in later on. This center had some of these lane panels, as you get across the house, were recently replaced, I guess, from panels from another center that closed here in town recently, because they were just old and damaged and stuff like that. So you take that when, so in other words, it's not a full lane replacement, just select panels. So again, that plays into topography and friction in different parts of the lane, and just kind of, if you bowl here enough, you kind of know, again, nuances and characteristics of pair to pair or even lane to lane. Because a prime example we talked about with Matt Zweig yesterday, it was first game, and then all of a sudden he came to a second game and he switched to a different ball in the right lane and used a different ball in the left lane. And again, we'll see how the pattern's going to keep playing different as we keep moving forward, as the more times it's being applied, because now it's going to start create its own memory, because they're not putting the house pattern down. So the tournament pattern is the only thing seeing the lane surface now since, yesterday morning. So this is now the 4th time it's been applied. So now that the pattern memory is starting to develop.
I appreciate you sharing that, KJ. He did end with, most important, staying away from the black cloud.
Absolutely.
AKA Schlim.
I don't blame you, especially if you're here to make money.
He did say he loves you, though.
I love you too, brother. It's all good. But hey, I know, like I said, my man Del Ballard is still to this day has always been. He's considered himself the Black Cloud. And I'm like, now I know what it feels like to be Del. I don't know if
I'm gonna have to ask him about this next time I see him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And his goes farther than his bowling. Like Del, it goes into sports, his favorite sports teams. It's
so
anything.
he's the reason the Cowboys are.
Absolutely. Ask him. He'll tell you. He'll be, yep. It's been his fault
That's
since
great.
the 90s. Del will tell you that. It's great. Obviously, I love you, Delmas. It's and those of you who know him, it's one of those things of, Del is, he's had a rough go of, health-wise and everything over the years, but, he is the epitome of Black Cloud. And you know who else you can ask too? Jason Couch.
Okay.
You can just walk up to Couch and go, so tell me about the Black Cloud. He goes, what, Delmas? It's exactly what he will say. Yeah, it's good stuff right there. So Josh, man, he's got a pretty good look down there. Again, filling frames, 9 count. Doesn't have a strike through 5, but he's clean through 4. Obviously, I probably clouded him right there.
It's 34 consecutive clean frames.
Hopefully you cancel out the cloud. Just drawing eyes to him and see if Smags can get on the strike board here. You like it? There we go. Yep, spare. Whew. All right, feel better.
And we had some Houston viewers, some Louisiana viewers. Shout out to Scooby and Bo. I know we got plenty of Arizona this morning.
Hold on. Did you say Louisiana or is it Louisiana? For those of you from there, it's Louisiana. If you hang around the folks from the South, right down there in Louisiana.
Louisiana?
Yes.
Much like Louisville.
Louisville. Yep.
It was fun chatting with Chris Hester last night during the action match with Robert Smith and GT2. He too from Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
There was ever a perfect person to, and there were so many people watching last night
Smags catch a double
and enjoying it. But I know that Chris Hester really enjoyed what he watched last night because he's that type of fan.
Yep.
It's certainly the type of bowler, but more importantly, a fan of the sport, like all of us. I think sometimes we lose that every now and then. That
Absolutely,
perspective.
yeah, and it's okay if when you talk about being a fan of bowling and people, and again, in my case of even though, I've been with Storm for 22 plus years, it's the fact of, being friends with Jason Couch, with Parker, with Walter. I mean, these guys over the years of different companies. Because, like we talked about, bowling is family, and those of us that appreciate the sport and, we want to see people do good. You want people to excel. You want them to get better. By the way, the cloud is intact because Josh now has a split and an open frame, and he's gonna.
Not really though.
He's probably going to meet me in the parking lot later, and I don't know.
Not really. He did make the 7-pin when we were initially talking about it. So
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think that one's
But
on you.
I think what you said was how many consecutive clean frames he had.
I
which
did,
is
and that was
huge on
before.
this.
That was before he made that spare. So it's really his streak was 35.
Yeah.
35
Pretty
straight.
solid based on what we've seen so far through a few squads.
CP, that's funny. CP says that's why it's it's better to be like him, a fan who can't bowl, which makes it harder to then lose said fandom. That's a, if you know Chris Pulliam, that's a very Chris Pulliam-like reply or response to that. But I mention this on often on multiple streams, even, you know, if I'm doing Bowl TV, PWA stuff. Come on, Jeff. Oh, give him one.
Sneaky.
But, you know, when you engulfed in it, you know, we work in the industry, right? Slim and I. So this is what we do. And you know, even when you're just back here, you know, you watch bowling all the time. But every now and then it's like a, you know, you don't want it to feel like work, right?
Correct.
And when you're, and that's for everybody. If you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. And when you work in the sport that you also played, right, it could get a little grindy every now and then. So it's like,
absolutely.
And you don't want to lose the love.
Correct.
That early love, which is why you got into it to begin with.
For sure. Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that it's when you're around it all the time, and we all go through our spots where, like exactly what you said, you kind of get that, you don't know, kind of stings and burns a little bit, and you kind of get, I don't know, we all kind of fry out maybe a little, in our own way.
Absolutely.
But then it's like
it's inevitable.
When you go to a certain event or you're a part of something that happens, and all of a sudden, like, your heart opens back up, and you're like, oh, yep, I've been missing that. That's what that's good to see and feel, and you know, again, it's part of the reason why we are involved in a part of this is because we love it.
Big thanks to the sponsors here, the Agent Ong Open, of course, Agent Ong, and the My Home Group, Brightside Catering. We talked about Brightside and Jeff specifically. Chef Adam out there doing his thing, and then Jeff was there. In fact, he told us,
because I'm Mr. Brightside.
Jeff was out there doing, he was handling desserts. And I told him, I missed the dessert because every dessert that I saw come out had chocolate in it. And I explained to him that chocolate gives me headaches. And then he said, yeah, I was doing, we had some tiramisu and a wild berry crisp. I said, I should have went in because I know that wild berry crisp was fantastic. And I would have had two.
Well, at that point in time, I was too full. I couldn't even think about dessert.
Jeff crosses over. Mark Powell, Travel 24/7, and WeSpeakWifi.com. Forget about Create Proof Print, Unwind Wellness Redefined, and I believe Unwind set up a table and a booth actually behind the registration here locally, or I should say inside Bowlero Kyrene. So, if you got some questions about Unwind and you know need a little work done on your physical, on your body, make sure you talk to them if you are coming into town. That's a good break. The Eds are back at it here.
I was just thinking the same thing. I just, like, oh, we got Ed and Ed. And they started over there, and now they crisscross over here.
Shout out to Ed Godbout. That's Santa Cruz County. Felton, California is where he's from. Get a good friend of Carl Ong, our creator here, and the late, great Tony Reyes. That's a good shot there, Jeff. This pair here, and then I don't, hard to tell because from the other pairs, but got a really good clear view of 9 and 10 from our position. And watching Ed Smaglick and Michael Johnston bowl that previous game, it looked like maybe a little bit of hole developed around 15-ish down lane.
Ruh-roh.
Troy has been he's been a little bit up and down, but he's thrown some really good shots. Not really minus 13 and 14 because that game 2 for him was, I don't think anything obviously had been developed yet over there, so he was just fishing. But overall, he's had some really good opportunities.
Yeah, 13 and 14 was a pair that Michael actually started on. And again, I think, I mentioned, the fact of maybe didn't truly break him down a certain way. Hence the reason why he struggled that first game before he, caught the pair here in front of us and had the 240 game. This game here is, he's got to strike up a sense.
DJ with a 3-bagger down on 5 and 6. Double, or I should say 2 more in the tip, gets him in the 230s.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that.
Okay. Okay, Troy.
We see you. We see that bird dog skipping across there.
Yeah, Troy's, he is giving that, that look of, if you were curious if a ball can make a move in a kind of a hard shape down lane, it can happen.
Correct.
Right, because he's really the only one that's doing that of the group that's bowling here, of course.
And again, this pair, we just saw the 230 and 240.
250, 240.
Or 250, 240, I'm sorry. And the fact that Troy actually moved deeper on that, seemingly on that shot, and he's been chasing it more in. So again, now we're getting to the point where, we're game 4. This is the second game in a row where we've got 2 people on the pair. So this pair is transitioning different than some of the other pairs. And Josh down there on 3 and 4 looks like he ended up with 176 that game. So DJ goes 8-1, so he's 200 flat. So he shoots par there on 5 and 6, game 4. See, wow. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's that spot where there's been enough traffic, and again, I believe, didn't you say he bowled a little bit yesterday? He bowled the squad yesterday, right?
He bowled the squad one yesterday.
Yeah, so he's seen the deal of it didn't, and I don't know how he did yesterday, but it's one of those things of
1150.
Okay. So it's one of those things
50
of
under.
being able to get farther left, I think, than what we saw yesterday morning. And again, I think that was because of yesterday morning's pattern was still, there were still remnants of the house shot, even though the tournament pattern was laid down. Looks to be pretty good. And just yipped it just a pinch. We're watching Ed and Ed finish up over here on 11 and 12. Ed got boot. 167. Smags. Can catch a double here, can get to 2-0.
Slim, you mind if I propose to the group of good people watching here on Bullstream TV, if they have a question for Roto Schlim, that we could do a
Absolutely
mini Q&A as we finish up our final 2 games.
Oh, Smags catch it. Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's
questions about equipment, of course, Roto
or whatever,
or whatever else, lane play, whatever.
Yep.
Schlim's travels, experiences. Feel free to drop a question for Roto Schlim, and we'll work on those answers as we roll along here in these last 2 games. Appreciate y'all tuning in this morning. So trying to give back, say, hey, this is a good opportunity. got a few questions? Let's give a few answers and continue to give a little knowledge.
Oh, close. And Smags over here throwing urethane. It was one of those deals of he felt it off his hand. He knew it was close, but he just kind of missed it a little bit where he needed to catch it. But again, he's going to put 190 on the board. So again, that's kind of what you're shooting for if you don't have that 220, 230, 240 look.
All right, we're rolling the game 5. Regina says hi, by the way. She
Hey,
forgot
Regina.
to say hello to you.
Saw her not too long ago. Obviously, I've been bouncing around. I've been living in my suitcase the last few months, so I've been here, there, and everywhere in between.
That's a question. What's your like? How have you mastered travel to a degree? Like, like, do you have a certain specific dimension of carry-on? Do you need a carry-on? Do you always have to have a large suitcase? All that kind of stuff.
So what's funny about that is I get asked that a lot about my travels, and what's crazy is travel is second nature to me because I started traveling. Well, when I first started on the ladies' tour way back in the day, drilling balls, I was right. My first event was just before I turned 20 years old. I was technically 19. So I've been traveling since I was 20. So I'm now coming up on 27 years of traveling, mainly domestically, but I've plenty around the world as well. Japan, Korea, Sweden, Canada, Mexico, all with bowling. Yeah, it just depends on, unfortunately, in my case, I'm a seasoned veteran at it, but at the same time, I have really big clothes and big shoes, and that's
a good point.
I'm a shoe guy because I like to have different shoes for my outfits and whatever like that. And you're like, why you got such a big bag for a short trip? And I'm like, okay, well, look at my clothes and look at yours. I wear a 4 extra large tall or a 5X, and I wear a size 14 shoe. You can't really just like compactly put that in a small bag, if you will. So I have. And trust me, there's still travel frustrations, obviously coming out of COVID, still even to this. Well, prime example of me when I got here the other day. My rental car struggles. Ended up having to cancel rental car because even though I had one booked, with whatever else was happening here in town besides baseball and a college thing and whatever, overabundance of people. And so I landed at 12:40. And I didn't get out of the airport until like 10 after 4 with my rental car. And that was faster than the one I originally booked. Because they go, assign your name to this list here. We'll contact you in 3 hours. And then it'll be probably another hour after that. So you're telling me in 4 hours I can have a car. Maybe is what they told me. So, life happens. And so I get it. The struggles of today's world. And it's happening more and more at airports, especially with rental cars. It's, like I said, I've experienced it a few times this calendar year even. Look at that. He's got some room. Troy's got some room there. He's gotten deeper. And that's right there. He's got spare double. And that one actually leaked out a little bit there on lane 7 and still sucked back to the pocket. So we'll have to watch him on 7 and 8 here. But no, just travels across the country and the spots of rental car places don't have enough employees with the cleaning gas and all that fun jazz. And sometimes it just takes longer to get a car.
I've been there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that. Same thing. In Iowa, actually. I went to lunch the one day it was at Applebee's. It was because we're out by my hotel, and I sat at the bar because there was one other person at the bar. And next thing you know, the entire bar area fills up. Almost all the tables is lunchtime. They had 3 waitresses. And I looked at the bartender and go, so do you guys not normally have a lunch rush? She goes, no, we do. I'm like, so why are you understaffed? And she goes, we can't get anybody to work. And I'm like, that's still a thing here? And then the manager came out. The manager was cooking and running food.
Yep.
And she stopped. She said, everything good? I said, are you guys really struggling with being understaffed? And she goes, oh, yeah, it's a thing. We can't get anybody to work. So it's kind of...
Which is still happening across the country.
Yes, sir. Oh. Josh actually a pretty good shot over here on 13 to 14. Stone 9.
Well, we got a few questions rolling in for you.
Okay.
Okay, so Kyle Webster says, I've lost 2 UC2s in the past 2 weeks.
UC2, that's an old ball.
Is the virtual energy blackout a good replacement?
Okay, so the VEB is going to be a touch earlier because of the cover stock. It's a stronger cover stock material. There's actually nanoparticles into that. UC2 was straight pearl with no additives. That was a chemical cover stock variation off of our E-Trax. Like I said, with no nano additives in it. So it's cleaner pearl. For what we have right now in the product line, asymmetric wise, trying to think across all our 3 brands. If you're wanting that clean and pop and change direction, where UC2, probably the strongest thing direction change wise is what I'm getting from staffers and other people is actually the TNT infused coming, even though it's a symmetrical ball. The cover stock wise, it's hybrid. It's 2-part pearl, 1-part solid, but it responds down lane like a UC2 would, especially if you drill it that way. Because we had Jordan Richard come out to do some video work, and also Anthony Simonson, and both of them were really surprised of the amount of change direction down lane because of the cover. And again, it's getting the clean cover. Another ball, just popped into my head that pops in that same category would actually be a Zen Gold Label. Because the original Zen had nanoparticles in it as well. Zen Gold Label is, again, it's the global version of a chemical additives. So it's cleaner and more responsive. So that would be an option as well in that category. Like I said, the virtual energy blackout, as good as it rolls, it does bounce a decent amount down lane, but again, know that there's nano, so there is times if you see friction closer to you, it's not going to shoot through that spot like a UC2 would, or like the other 2 balls I just mentioned, the TNT infused or Zen Gold Label. So hopefully that helps answer that. And never say never. Plenty of people ask me, same kind of thing of UC2 is one I get asked about, and as well as X2 as well, because again, that was a cleaner cover. Never say never of trying to emulate that reaction again in the future. Because again, even though pro shops and bowlers, you guys launch too many bowling balls. Well, Roto still only does like 6-7 balls a year. And it's kind of been our par for all since I took over Rotogrip in 2012. So, just know that there's always a possibility of stuff I'm working on for the future. I can tell you I'm already working on stuff in the first quarter. Some good stuff in the pipeline still, even though the new balls, today is actually release day for the Magic Gem, official street date. In a 2 more weeks is TNT infused, but I'm already working on stuff for next year. And, plus you add in the international market for us, there's always stuff going on. We got our team in-house, Chad McLean and Steve Klompkin do a great job with the OEM balls and everything that goes on there to get private label balls to Japan, Korea, Europe, other parts of the country that they actually need more balls than what we launch here in America. We talk about how many balls launch in America. Man, those other countries they're sometimes 2 or 3 a month because that's with their culture. That's the buying climate over there. So hopefully that answers the question. Sorry to ramble and go that other way.
No, that was good stuff. You took us into a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Learn a little bit about kind of international sales and what the bowling culture is.
Yeah.
From that vantage point, what you have upcoming in the R&D department, if you will, little tease.
Oh yeah, we've always got stuff
like that.
cooking. That's Hank Boomershine and Alex Hoskins. Alex is mainly downstairs in the R&D. those guys come up with core shapes, and like I've mentioned before, with what I do in creating, wanting to see certain motions or certain shapes, those guys are creating the cores, and then we figure out the cover and the reactions, and sometimes stuff whips together pretty easily, and other times, prime example, like a ball like a Tour Dynamics, that ended up being almost 8 months in process before we got it to where the shape that I wanted to see on the lane and kind of that motion. It was, it's fun to be on that side of it, because I've watched plenty of bowling balls go down the lane in my lifetime, from back in my days on the PWBA tour as player services to tour repping and everything else, and now it's still the same thing. It's creating bowling balls that make sense for not only the best in the world, but make sense for, I would consider myself like the average bowler. How can I make a ball do the right thing? So, yeah, Ed, give it a double fist, my man.
A really good shot there.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's the right attitude right there.
That's it.
I zoomed in on a quick
Chris
shot.
catches the strike there.
Yeah, we'll take that from Chris from Troy.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll get the right angle on the right lane, but just watching his shape and that motion we've been talking about specifically for Troy down lane. Let's see what the right lane might be. His body might be in the way. Let's see. Let's go to it real quick.
Just look at an idea of, see how deep he's got and the shape. And again, it's one of those ones that he just got his hand in the wrong spot and didn't quite feed to that spot. But again, he's got a couple of doubles this game. He's going to pace. He's pacing 2-team. Catches the turkey here late. Could be more. Smags over here on 13 and 14. Just goes through the face, leaves a 310.
Good spare there from Troy, 3-6-9-10. All right, Mary says, Mary, first of all, congrats, Mary, for getting back into bowling.
Yes.
Just getting back into it, wants to purchase a new ball. Should she go up in weight?
Okay, so I guess the question is, what are you throwing now?
Right.
Weight-wise. And then it's, ultimately, I can tell you, folks, it's the technology we put in bowling balls now. You don't have to go heavier, because even like you take our, and it's not just our brands, I can tell you from other companies as well, the dynamics in 12s and 13s are different than what you have. 14 through 16 for all companies is the same core shape, and then once you get lighter than that, the core shapes change. The dynamics change a little bit. The RGs go up, the differentials go down usually. But you're still getting the cover stock technology and stuff like that. So yeah, it just depends on what weight we're talking here. If we're teetering, if we're stuck in that 13-14 zone, then that's something you have to seriously debate because the core shapes are different. But I can tell you myself, I don't really bowl much anymore. I'll be honest with you folks, because we're chilling, we're having fun here. So once a year now, I kind of do the Bowl Extravaganza, which is a fundraiser for the Bowling Museum and International Bowling Museum and Hall of Fame in Texas. It's a fundraiser, and so it's you bowl 2 days, and you bowl these different games, and it's not really bowling for score per se. Like you're trying to, like one game is like odds, where you try and get an odd pin count, and so your points add up. I will tell you folks, I drilled a 10-pound duo for this year's extravaganza, and I struck a lot with it, and I wasn't supposed to strike because you're trying to get random pin counts and do different things. So, technology and lightweight bowling balls, it just depends on what we got shaking here. So, yeah, we can help you out farther. We just need to know, where you're at and what we're trying to do. So the catch of the pair down to our left, Michael Johnson finishes with 184 there on 5 and 6. So not a bad game there. DJ looks to be struggling a little bit down there on 3 and 4. And again, he's the only left in the field. So that pair has obviously changed I can't say the change. It's just obviously he sees it a little bit differently because, again, he's seeing the fresh, but he's got a split and a couple opens down there. So he's looking at, he's got a 4.7. So we'll see if he can pick this up. But, I mean, he's looking at potential like 170 down there for DJ. So, again, that just goes to show that different parts of the building are going to play different, you know, and he only gets one. So that's another open. So he's going to have to catch a double down there to get to 170.
All right, good questions there. We'll keep it rolling. Let's see, Bo. That's a good question, Bo. What do you want to see with the sport in the next 10 years when it comes to equipment and the rule set for said equipment?
I think that is something that is going to be ever changing. And the reason I say that is because we now have another governing body. The PBA is now its own sanctioning body, not only for the PBA Tour, but also for their league play. Neil Stremmel is heading that. So I can tell you, as us manufacturers, we now, here coming up very shortly, we will have to send bowling balls to Neil for approval, just as we do with the USB-C. So and their specifications as of right now are kind of close, but it's not to say that neither one of them could change and go a different direction. So we don't really, you know, we've got to wait and see what they decide and what's going to change and happen. Prime example is this new PBA rule with the urethane balls having to be a 78 hardness. Again, that's not anything to do with the USB-C. That is solely the PBA. So, yeah, we just got to wait and see how it changes. You know, as far as moving forward and what we can see, you know, say in the next decade, man, it's the way it's been, the evolution of since I've been in the industry now for, you know, 30 years. It's bowling balls are going to change as lane oils are going to change, as lane surfaces are going to change. It's hard to say what can and can't be done or what's going to be done. You know, at one point in time, and I don't know, too many folks know this, pretty good shot and gets the messenger across the deck. Shoots 213. Troy there on 7 and 8. You know, at one point in time, and this goes way back, there was, and I don't know if anybody's still currently doing it, but they were trying to develop an oilless lane to where you don't have any oil, but your ball reacts like there's oil on it.
Wow.
And that's just basically due to the different types of silicons and the materials, the composites that create a lean surface. So, yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, we don't know until those envelopes start getting opened or pushed. I mean, and again, it's the governing bodies as far as organized bowling goes. But the other part of it too, the group of non-sanctioned bowlers across the United States, it's growing exponentially. So by definition, in that world, there are no rules if you want to look at it that way. Kind of like me, when I play golf, I'm one of those guys. I got one of those illegal drivers because, you know, I'm not a great golfer. I just like to. I'm a weekend hack.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is. And all the guys at work joke with me because it's this huge. They call it like a beer can on a stick or like a Volkswagen on a stick, and it sounds like an old school, like a little league baseball bat. It's like ping, ting. But again, it's non-sanctioned, but I don't play sanctioned events, so I don't rules. I don't need any rules. I don't play in a rule type event, right. You know. So, but bowling's the same way. You know, obviously there's, you know, there can be bowling balls that, I mean, well, actually in the world of non-sanctioned, you can still have weight holes in your balls. It doesn't matter. You know, there's no rules there. So, over here in 13 to 14, Smags is stepping up.
Where are you at?
He's looking at potentially 190. Can sneak out more. Sounded pretty good. I couldn't see it, and it's a flat 10. Throwing the urethane ball still. So we just kind of keep it in play, keep it in front of him, and he's grinding out, grinding out over there. Oh, my man's throwing wood over there.
I tell you. Hey, man.
You saw that, right?
That 140 game 2, yeah.
Yeah.
He's since then, and he followed that with 190. But Troy really has had, what could you could argue is maybe the best look here.
Oh, hands down.
Based on just ball motion.
On this current squad, absolutely. I'm going to say that's like the third messenger I can recall this morning where it's the head pin flying across the deck into the 10. And again, he's gotten deep enough away from, I think it's using the pattern to help create the pattern link to help create the angle through the front, but also making sure it slows down in the right spot. Pretty good shot right there. That was 10 back. So my man starts with a double over there as we start the last game. And so I think some of these guys are going to, as soon as they get to that next pair, they're just jumping and going.
For that group or those folks down there, especially if they're bowling solo, they're not impacting anyone, so they can essentially start game 6 and not.
That's what I'm saying. That's why him and Ed and Eddie, and how about Ed starting Gubboot starting with a double here. So my man's off and running this last game.
Excuse me. All right, Regina asked about.
See, and that again, the cloud of Schlim. Just talking about how great his reaction was, and he kind of, and again, as a two-hander, he gets his hand and elbow in the wrong spot, and he doesn't allow it to feed to the right like he needs it. And obviously it checked early and missed that pin left.
Gina asks about she loves her new 14-pound clump. What's your favorite from the newer line of equipment?
Yes, D, all of the above.
Figured you would say that.
No, I mean it's one of those things. Like I told you folks, I don't bowl much anymore per se. Like once a year, if that. But well, like I said, I do that fundraiser thing. But throwing shots and doing things. It's like I said, the bowling balls we make are like I mentioned yesterday on the stream. The bowling lane is 60 feet and you're 39 inches wide. It's one big frame, if you will, and bowling balls are puzzle pieces. And so it's building the puzzle pieces to help piece together different pictures on the lane or different shapes on the lane is really the focus and goal. And my idea, the functionality, the process, the thought process with the clone was to bring that UFO part back, get it in circulation, even though we, modified density, but with the solid, shiny cover. Again, UFO Alert was hybrid, 2-part pearl, 1-part solid, clean cover, no additives. Clone is a clean, solid cover, no additives, factory shined. The only other ball that we had in our product line across our 3 brands, solid, shiny, was the Hustle Rip, which is the Royal Imperial Purple. The solid purple one is kind of like the reincarnation of the Hustle Ink, if you will. So yeah, I just felt that we could use a big ball that's solid, factory shined. Hadn't done something like that since the Eternal Cell, which has already been quite a while ago. And the reason why I felt that it would be easier to do with the clone was because of that core shape. It's even though it's asymmetric, it's got built-in cavities to help emulate like a balance hole, if you will. It's a touch higher RG, and it's more of a light bulb shape. So it doesn't really roll like a true asim. It doesn't like what we say lock up fast. It doesn't tumble, rev, and kind of spin out quick. It wants to tumble down the lane and then also store and change direction, if you will. So that was kind of the idea. And yeah, and 14 pounds, like I said, the RGs, 14 pounders, the RGs are a touch higher, again, across all brands. Compared to this weekend, 14 to 15. The RG always goes up in the lighter weights because that's what you have to change the material in order to make the weight, which then alters the dynamics. So, but Yeah, I mean, speaking of dynamics, obviously Tour Dynamics, I mean, the new ball, Magic Channel. Again, all these balls, none of them overlap. There's a variety. And that's what I focus on the road grip side. You know, my thing is building the roto grip line. If somebody wants to stay loyal and a fan of roto grip, you can build an arsenal top to bottom or even side to side in a line and feel confident that you're going to strike and have what you need. But at the same token, when I design stuff, it's creating the roto grip balls to then also complement the Storm side and the Global side. Because we do have 3 brands, and we try, the focus is to not overlap any of our products. Because again, you're looking for different reactions, and so that's always our first and foremost is creating the variety. Chris has got a pretty good pitch right there, starting here on 9 and 10. And Ed, started double spare. Couple opens and sneaks in a strike there. So
Appreciate all of you for tuning in. I'd appreciate you more if you hit that thumbs up on this video. I'm going to get all of the Agent Ong streams from this weekend.
Oh, hold on. Isn't it supposed to like smash a subscribe button or something?
The thumbs up.
Smash it.
And go ahead and hit that subscribe. Turn those notifications on.
There you go.
That way you're notified when we go live, when we schedule events. Appreciate all of the support. Trying to, we're moving in the right direction here on this channel. Next goal, of course, is 10K. 10K subs. Good questions, too, in the chat, so we appreciate you.
Absolutely.
We are into game 6, and we will end up finishing with 9 through 12. So we'll watch Troy and Ed finish out. They're almost done. Oh, make that. Oh. Wow, he gave that one a nice run to Troy. Quick look at the standings. Updated after 5. Make sure you click the standings link, the scores link, pinned up top of the chat. Troy is plus 245, 146, 190, 215, 213. I mean, again, that 146 game.
Mm-hmm. And I was talking how good his reaction was. And now my man's went 7-1, 7-1, 7-2. Oh, that was a pocket 6-pin.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, that's got a good look. And he's shaking. Yeah, I'd be mad at that one, too. Like, that was a good pitch to leave a 6. He's going to walk that one off. He might go hop in that UPS truck that just pulled up outside.
Yes, there is a delivery happening as we speak.
My man he's really thinking about that one because, again, that was and I don't know if you got the replay of that.
No, I don't.
You could actually, well, those who saw it with me in live in person, it was a really good shot for a 6-pin.
To a degree, I feel like that's kind of the way the day's ended. I mean,
yeah, he's full sizzle mode at this point.
That's one of those things too, right? If you're Troy, you feel like after bowling twice, obviously, this squad's a little light, so the transition is a little different, but you'd have to think he feels he's got enough of a look, enough of good ball motion to maybe give it one more go at some point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and to know that when he's going to bowl on a squad with more people, the transition, he knows, I mean, obviously he made the move in there, and it may not be that same ball, but he knows the zone he has to get to. And again, faster than what he did yesterday when he tried. That's going to hold true moving forward. So,
Kyle, I saw your follow-up question to your earlier one about the replacing your UC2. I'm going to get to that. I'll get to Storm B28. Always watching bowling events on YouTube. Can you explain the design intent of the clone and how it fits?
Yeah, so like I was just talking about with Gina there, the clone, like I said, the goal was to bring back the ET core. So it's cloned ET core, use the same part that we had in the UFO series, and change the density. So the RG came down a couple ticks, but it's still high for an asymmetric. You know, it's 250, so that helps get it through the front part of the lane. And like I said, in getting to the OptiTrax cover, the focus was to get a solid cover shock factory shined. Again, when I was looking at everything we got across our 3 brands, the only solid shiny ball we had, factory shine ball, was the Hustle Rip. And so I knew I wanted to go solid, and how we got to OptiTrax was a variation of our E-Trax Plus. Again, when we start mixing chemicals and changing ratios and doing different things, it created a different reaction than what E-Trax Plus is. So it's a little bit more aggressive, if you will, but people throw it and they're like, oh, it's very close to what a UFO alert was. Again, the UFO alert was hybrid, 2-part pearl, 1-part solid. The clone is solid. You know, the 3 different colors, it's all the same material, so it's a solid cover stock factory shine. But it still gives you that cleaner through the front and shape down lane without over bouncing off friction. And I think that was the thing that, you know, like I said, the big thing, my focus was that higher RG as opposed to, you take like the Gem series, which, you know, like I said, today's a street day for the Magic Gem. That's the lowest RG ASIM we have at 247. So the lower the RG, which means the faster it revs up, as that number starts going up, the higher the RG, the more it tumbles down the lane. And so, yeah, having the clone, you know, the clone DT part, you know, in that 250 range. So we've got something, the Gem series revs faster. The clone is the first one of the series. It goes plenty longer down the lane just because of the RG of the core. So hopefully that makes some sense. And again, like I mentioned yesterday, lane panels are just like us human beings. They age every day. And the amount of impact that a lane panel goes through, you know, and obviously we're in a Bowlero center. This is, you know, they've got leagues, they've got tournaments, but then they've got open play. And so the amount of bowling balls and the different types of, you know, house balls are a hard urethane. And the impact of those hitting the lane heads every day since they're installed, they get beat up. And so it turns into surface friction. So some of these last few balls that I've created on the roto grip side especially is having bowling balls that clear the front part of the lane because there's naturally built-in friction. So hopefully that made sense to one or all of you out there.
Well, we got Josh Williams, Chris Trail finishing up, and Josh looks like he might have his high game of the day. He can get into the 220s to finish. He can max, though, at 234. I have a little camera pan coming up soon because Jeff and DJ will close it out on 13 and 14.
That's a pretty good shot by Josh. They're going to keep it in play.
I tell you, man, he's. I would pick Josh Williams on my team anytime. You give me somebody on tough stuff who's going to make spares, be around the pocket, and that's really all we're asking for. Like he's the, you know, perfect to a degree. When you think about open championships, we're talking about team bowling and breaking down pairs. You know exactly what Josh is going to give you. And if we set it up the right way, we know he'll probably get to 230, 240, 250. But at worst, he's going to get a 6-0, which is because he's going to be 30 clean. That is invaluable.
In today's bowling world, correct. I don't know if that was that a ball change?
It was. I think so.
Okay. 220. And again, this pattern, because, you know, it does require shot making and, you know, a lot of people talking to themselves coming off the approach. You know, Josh included right there, clean 220, but, you know, he's thinking, man, can I piece together some, you know, more of those, if because he's now bowled 2 squads. He's got to be thinking he's one of those guys like, man, I'm that close. Like I gotta bowl again. I gotta give myself a shot at it.
And he's had some decent games across those squads. 220 here. He opened with 240 yesterday.
Yep.
Nice finish on that fill there for Chris.
So is this a spot where I need to pan?
That's a pan.
Oh, see? I'm learning. Like Peter Pan or like the Little Caesars? Pan.
My oldest son through school, he's got he's in the Book It program.
Okay.
For reading.
Yep.
Nice spare, actually right on cue as we get over to DJ. He makes that washout.
Yeah, see?
And my wife and I were surprised to learn that the Book It program when we were younger, you read however many books and you got a personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut.
Yes.
We didn't think that still existed, but it does.
It does, yes. That's a thing.
He was like, he's in Book It now. Oh, great.
So that's a thing. All right, here we go.
But he's probably not going to eat that pizza because he's picky. So I'm going to eat it.
Perfect. Little snacky snack for Dad. Like it. Cross is over. Take it.
All right, let's see. One last question here before we go. 3, 2, 1.
Lift
1,
off.
2, 3. It says, what shot speed works best with asymmetric cores versus symmetric cores? I keep reading, the faster your shot speed, the better core is asymmetric, but I wanted to ask an expert. It's an interesting question.
I will say it doesn't matter. And the fact of the matter is it's all based on bowling balls are based on how you throw it. So you have to have the right layout. Doesn't matter if it's symmetric, asymmetric, because we don't have the luxury of today's world, as we refer to it as some folks would call it a correction hole or a balance hole or a weight hole or whatever you want to call it from what we had back in the day, when you could alter the shape of the core to make the ball do what you wanted it to do. In today's world, and now, again, this is just based off the USBC sanctioning body, because the PBA is still working on their sanctioning rules and whatnot. With no balance hole being used, it's really crucial and important of how you place the core in the ball when you drill it. So you've got to get the core position the right way based off of your positive access point in order to make the ball shape and do what you need it to do. So again, it doesn't turn necessarily ball speed and rev rate and stuff like that. It's not, because it'd be one of those things of, if I'm drilling a ball, for example, the way we would drill balls for layout balls for Norm Duke is not the same we do as for Belmo, and they'd be the same ball. You're talking 2 hands, a lot of revs, 1 hand, a lot less revs, but it can make both those make that same ball. Doesn't matter if it's asymmetric or symmetric. Emulate and do the right thing if you lay it out the right way. So I think that's more should be more the focus, not necessarily, I throw at this speed and this rev. How do we make this ball work for you is what you have to look at. And that's what your pro shop operator should do. He or she, whoever's mapping and drilling your balls, should have a general knowledge of how you throw it, know your positive access point, and then get the core placed properly for you to create the reaction that you're looking for on the lane. Jeff there converting another spare. And these guys are just kind of grinding it out here to finish this first squad of day 2 here at the AO Squared, also known as the Agent Ong Open. And a hush falls over the crowd. Gets quiet when there's only one pair going. Catches another crossover. Hey, yo.
I should have asked Jeff, did he bring some dessert with him this morning? Now that I know he was working the dessert.
If not, he probably knows a guy here close that can get you some.
He handled the dessert at the nice catered event.
Speaking of crossovers, there we go. And again, a DJ being the only lefty in this field. again, catching fresh every pair. And I don't know if it was just maybe his plan of attack or if he saw some of these last couple pairs that much different than the first few. It's hard to say. It'd be something we have to ask him on the break. But yeah, it's a bigger ball, a lot more surface, moved in. Because he, did have that urethane look to start from out, and now he's kind of, and I don't know if maybe it was just that 3 and 4 kind of got in his head a little bit, so he thought he had to bail off of what he was doing. And I don't even know if he tried urethane down here, but and again, it's in this type of format and this tough of a pattern, short-term memory loss is one of those things that is beneficial, because it's
a good way to put that.
And he's going to try a different ball, because it's one of those things of you can't let one pair get in your head because you're like, okay, well, whatever this pair was, it was. And you can't say that it's the same thing going to the next pair because, people are moving different directions. But like I said, in the case of him being the only lefty, man, I can't see him being that different. But maybe, see yet a different ball. Again, it just kind of checked up, and he was a little bit farther. Oh, catches the strike backdoor. He got right of where he was to start. So, I don't know. I'm guessing we'll probably see him in another squad here sometime today or tonight or tomorrow maybe. Yeah, we'll see how that shakes out.
159 for DJ, and Jeff finishes with what I believe was a 170. One.
Perfect. All right.
And
There
with
you
that,
have
folks,
it. And there you are.
Squad 3, opening squad of the day is complete. Let me do a quick, tease on who's bowling this afternoon at 2 p.m. And this is not including walk-ups or walk-ins, excuse me. It looks like, let's see, we saw Kyrene bowl yesterday. I believe Mookie Betts is bowling at 2 p.m. today.
I don't know. I think it might be later tonight, actually.
Okay, maybe.
I think it was a 7, but Carl and I.
We may have changed it.
Yeah, I think.
I see a Betts on the roster
Okay.
for
Yeah.
2 p.m.
Could be.
Kyle Duster is scheduled to bowl, according to what I'm watching or what I'm reading here. Marlon Brown. We saw Sean Finch, Joseph Gage, Jordan Gentles, Brian Halen bowling, Adrian Hare, Brian Hare, Raymond Johnson, Eileen Linares, talented player from New Mexico. Chad Luch again. We saw Jason Obel yesterday. Carson Opella. Well, that's a good name there. And he can throw it. Tim Simonis had some good moments yesterday during his squad.
Yep.
Dylan Taylor, New Mexico Open champion from a couple years ago. According to what I'm reading here, to bowl at 2. And the Brett Wolf also scheduled to bowl at 2 p.m. Today. And then tonight, obviously a few more individuals. Robert Smith is actually on tonight's squad, according to what I am reading here, along with Mike Hardesty, Gabe Alvarez. We saw bowl the sweeper last night. That's a name to watch for tonight, too. Gabe can throw it. All right, so that's just a few names. Matt Jones is also bowling tonight as well at 7 o'clock.
Okay. Last
night's sweeper winner. So some names to keep in mind, and we'll be back at it. You are correct, Chris Pulliam. Yes. Yeah, he bowled the sweeper, though, Chris. So Mookie is here. Again, from a Dodgers fan perspective and even his own perspective, he would rather, I'm sure, be playing baseball right now, but he's here and kind of doing what I believe is that second thing he loves, and he's bowling. So he's here.
He's going to pop in and, like I said, probably bowl a squad. He bowled the sweeper, popped in and bowled the sweeper last night. He just, when I chatted with him, he just got in from the airport. He may not hang around all that long. He'll bowl that squad and see. But anyway, yeah, it's him, like so many others, the passion of bowling. If you don't do it for a living, There's plenty of people who just love the bowl. And we're seeing it here with some of these folks that are bowling multiple squads that, you know, they're just going to keep trying. They're like, I love to bowl. This is what I do. So.
Well, we're going to do that too. We got a nice break, so we're going to take advantage of that. Big thanks to all of our sponsors. Again, Team Agent Ong, My Home Group, Brightside Catering, Mark Powell, Travel 24/7, along with WeSpeakWifi. And then, of course, Unwind Wellness Redefined. I Am Bowling, EVFB, Bowling Dynamics. Don't forget about Ramsey Auto Group, Burke Brothers, and everybody involved from the Bowlero Kyrene perspective. Man, what a moment. What a squad. And we'll have more for you. Squad 4 coming up, 2 p.m. local time, 2 p.m. local here in Metro Phoenix, Chandler, Arizona, to be specific. So for Carl Ong, Chris Schlimmer, thanks for taking the Q&A. We appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. Anytime.
My name is Emil Williams Jr. We will see you at 2 p.m. local, 5 p.m. Eastern for Squad 4 of the Agent Ong Open. This has been a presentation of Squad 3 right here on Bowlstream TV.